Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video we're going to be talking about what I believe is the story for Blackout, and also maybe try to explain the story for the Specialist HQ, which is where I got most of this information from. So I figured out that the calling cards that you get through the challenges in the Specialist HQ also double as audio logs, which I know it's kind of stupid. I didn't realize that until I got all of them. And so since I had already 100%ed all the challenges and stuff, I decided to take a listen to the audio logs to see if it could explain some of the really confusing cutscenes that were in the Specialist HQ, which it did in a way I actually wasn't really expecting. So these details are a bit fuzzy from the audio logs because they're not directly mentioning anything really. But what I could gather could actually be the backstory behind Blackout. So from what I could gather, there are three main subplots. The first one is about the specialists, and these are actually not from the audio logs. These are from the cutscenes, and these are the specialists, mainly Ruin and Battery, figuring out why in the opening cutscene they were all ambushed and mostly, well, not mostly killed, but very badly injured. The second subplot is about how and why Savannah created Blackout, which Savannah was the person who recruits all the specialists at the beginning of the game. And the third one is Woods and Mason in Blackout, and they're both communicating with each other. Now this one doesn't really matter a whole lot other than explaining a lot of the connections between Blackout and Specialist HQ. And so yeah, let's get started with what I believe is the beginning of the story, and we'll just go off from there. So first of all, Savannah, which again, she's the person who recruited all the specialists at the beginning of the game. She's the sister to Jessica, who was the person who was killed at the beginning of the game. She wanted to make the world a better place, and she did that by creating this simulation, which of course went on to become Blackout. And she got help from Raul Menendez, which later on might take a turn from the worst. But for now, let's just go on. So for her test subjects, she uses Woods and Mason, who, by the way, we know Mason is related to Savannah in some way. You can see that on Jessica's gravestone at the beginning of the game, where how it says Jessica Mason. Yeah, that definitely ties Mason and Savannah together, because Savannah is Jessica's sister. Anyways, we see she uses Woods and Mason as test subjects, which we can see in the ending cutscene for Specialist HQ, which you can see them talking to each other in the asylum section of the Blackout map. So over time, her family kind of disagrees with what she's doing with the Blackout project, especially with Menendez and all that. And at some point, Raul Menendez takes really just a lot of control over the project, and leaving Savannah with less and less control. And Jessica really doesn't like that. So what ends up happening is that she tries to get in the way of the project. And Menendez obviously doesn't like that, so he tries to assassinate Jessica, which is what happens in the opening cutscene with how it was all set up. It was all set up by Menendez, and that was all an attempt to assassinate her. So fast forward to when the game is actually taking place, and we can actually see where Ruin discovers that night they knew it was all set up. And so I don't know how long after that, but Menendez's men try to assassinate Ruin in his home because he discovered all that. When he escapes, and he gets a transmission from an unknown person who guides him to a safe house, and it's there when we see that unknown person is actually Jessica, who actually wasn't dead. She was alive the whole time, and at the end they start to go after Savannah for it. So that's what I believe is the backstory to Blackout. Now, in the audio logs, they never directly mentioned Blackout by name, but I knew that there were a few clues, and there's some reasons why I believe that they are talking about Blackout. first of all, the biggest hint is that in that opening cutscene, you can see that Woods and Mason are standing in Asylum, which is in Blackout. So that's the biggest hint that this is all tied to Blackout, and the whole simulation thing that Savannah was talking about was Blackout. So the third hint is in an audio log with Mason and Woods, where Woods mentions that Reznov was kind of like the first one, and, well, actually just take a listen.
Frank, what the fuck?
Yeah, Al. He was the first.
The first what?
The first archetype.
Hey there, so it's actually me from the future. I'm editing this in later. So I just realized this. If you listen to that audio clip, they mentioned that Reznov was the first archetype, not just the first person. Now, if you look at the definition for archetype, the second one, it says an original that has been imitated. So it could be possible that, you know, Woods and Mason and Reznov and even Menendez, they're all clones in Blackout. And I just found that out, and it could be an interesting detail, who knows. It doesn't really affect things a lot. It doesn't really change up a lot of the details from the story, but anyways, I thought that was an interesting thing. Anyways, yeah, back to the video. So after listening to that, if you look at the Blackout menu, you can see that Reznov is the first character listed, right behind Mason and then Woods. This could be a coincidence, yes, but it could be another way to connect Blackout to all this, so I wanted to mention it. So another hint is it comes from two audio logs, actually. So in this audio log, you can hear Woods tell Mason some numbers, which at first I thought was just a way to connect the first Black Ops to this. And take a listen.
Ascension 7 21 14 20 4 0 5 4 20.
So as you can see, I at first I really just thought that this was just a way to reference the first game, but if you listen to the final audio log, which you have to unlock by completing all of the challenges in the campaign, so if you listen to this final one, you can actually hear that the numbers are being said in the background as well.
Not my vision. It never was. 18.
This was all you.
12.
I don't understand.
20.
If
11.
not yours,
18.
we've been
17.
we've
24.
been working toward this common goal together.
14.
And also, in the loading screen for Blackout, you might have noticed that there's numbers flying around. So maybe it's not just referencing the first game, but they actually use those numbers to tie in the Specialist HQ to Blackout. Who knows? So that's my theory on the Blackout storyline and my theory to explain Specialist HQ. If you guys have any other theories or anything else to share, any extra details, leave them in the comment section below. And as always, if you like this video, leave a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.